Games like Rust and The Forest, where you have to survive in a huge open world while collecting resources, building bases, and hunting animals for food, solo or with your friends, are so fun and addictive, especially when there is a story to follow and a mystery to unfold. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It is Gromo, and today we have a list of the best open world survival games for PC of 2021. And before we get into it, make sure to join our channel and leave a comment down below, and I might feature it in a future top 10 video. And without further delay, number 1 is Icarus. Icarus is an open world PvE survival game that can be played solo or with up to 8 co-op players. In Icarus, players can explore an open alien wilderness and survive in it by looting and finding the necessary resources for crafting tools, supplies, and building bases in a huge open world where even oxygen is essential for survival. During the game, players will advance in several levels, and they will be able to craft advanced technologies that will enable them to travel further, gather faster, automate productions, and survive longer. The game looks solid with high graphics and solid gameplay. Icarus will be released December the 8th exclusively on PC. Next game, number 2, is This Land Is My Land. This Land Is My Land is an open-world survival action game developed by Game Labs. The developers were generous enough to give me 2 copies of their game to give away to 2 lucky viewers. So here we go, the first Steam code, and the second code will be shown at some point during the video. So watch out for it. It's a $40 game if you're wondering, and if you are able to redeem it, please let me know in the comments below. Anyways, This Land Is My Land revolves around preventing settlers from invading native lands. The player takes control of a tribal man who have to defend his land and survive in the wild and fight against the environment and enemies. And he can use weapons, set traps and baits, and mount a horse for transportation. The game is like a combination between Rust and Red Dead Redemption, and it's worth the try. This Land Is My Land was out for a few weeks now exclusively on PC, and it's a solid open world survival game to try. Next game, number 3, is Open Country. Open Country is an open-world survival third-person shooter game in which you can hunt, fish, explore, drive ATVs, snowmobiles, and survive in the harsh environment. In Open Country, players must explore every area of the map in order to find weapons, resources, and food while avoiding encounters with wild animals and dangerous creatures. Players can also build bases and construct houses to use as shelter, and they can also develop relationships with locals and even animal companions, such as dogs, to help them in their journey. And as they progress in the game, players will need to acquire better weapons, better equipments, and better vehicles. Coming next, number 4 is Starsand. Starsand is an open-world survival game that puts players away from any civilizations in a vast open desert that holds many impressive monuments, artifacts, and creatures of the past as well as modern times. In Starsand, players have to survive the harsh weather of the desert by gathering resources, securing water and nutrition, and building a shelter for protection against the dangerous heat of the sun, the extreme cold of the night, and the unknown enemy creatures. Starsand will put players through a mystical story, and the solving of numerous puzzles in the map will answer many questions during the journey of the protagonist. It's a solid survival game to try if you're into extreme survival and mystery. Next game, number 5, is Medieval Dynasty. Medieval Dynasty is a realistic open-world survival game that features a huge high-graphic open environment with a dynamic 4-season and a day and night cycle with realistic weather conditions and different landmarks distributed through the map. In Medieval Dynasty, the player have to acquire different equipments through looting and crafting, including weapons, useful tools, furniture, and clothing. While progressing in the game, players will encounter different animals, some of which are dangerous like wolves and bears, and some other that are harmless such as deer, rabbits, and birds to hunt. The game was released on September for PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and it's a really solid and fun survival game to try. Next, number 6 is Smalland. Smalland is an open-world sandbox multiplayer survival game where players take control of a tiny human, surrounded by dangerous massive creatures, and at the bottom of the food chain, where you have to craft weapons and armor, build a base, and defend yourself against much bigger creatures. In Smalland, players have to survive the dangers of the world, from the changing weather to the dangerous wildlife around them. Most of the creatures like wasps, spiders, rats, and birds will see you as tasty food, and you have to be well equipped in order to fight back and defend yourself and survive. Weather conditions are also a challenge, as this not only affect your health but also change the environment around you. The game can be played solo or with friends in a co-op PvE gameplay. Smalland will be released soon for PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Next, number 7 is Winter Survival Simulator. Winter Survival is a winter survival simulator game where the player has fell in an accident and is stuck in a frozen mountain and have to use the available resources in order to live for another day and survive in the harsh environment, facing a lot of difficulties such as the cold weather and the dangerous wildlife, and find his way to an abandoned ranger station in hope to be able to call for help. During his fall, the player lost his backpack and most of his gear and supplies are lost, and he will need to find shelter, food and place to rest. During his journey, the player have to scavenge resources, track and hunt small animals for food and set traps for dangerous and wild animals, while also monitoring cold, thirst, hunger and exhaustion. Next game, number 8, is Void Train. Void Train is a survival game that takes place in the imagination of a mechanic's mind, where he have to discover a mysterious world inhabited by deadly creatures, treasures and much more. And in order to survive, he have to gather supplies and different materials, upgrade his equipments and his train base, create better weapons and defend himself, and also solve puzzles and finish challenges to progress in the game's story. Void Train can be played solo or in 4-player co-op multiplayer. Void Train is released on August of 2021 exclusively for PC and Xbox, and it's really solid survival game with unique mechanics and concept that you might like to try. Next game, number 9, is Valheim. Valheim is an open sandbox survival game that takes place in a Viking world, and as one of them, the player begins with nothing and soon discovers that he must defeat enemies. And for that reason, players must craft tools, build shelters, and fight enemies to survive. Valheim is played through cooperative gameplay with up to 10 people and also a PvP gameplay that is optional. The main objective of the game is to kill all 5 bosses located in different places of the map. To summon each boss, a specific offering must be given. Once the boss is killed, a trophy will be dropped, and this trophy can be used for power-ups to fight the next boss. And finally, number 10 is New World. New World is a massively multiplayer online role-playing survival game that puts players in teams of 5 members to join one of 3 factions and use resources, craft items, gain control over settlements, finish quests, explore the world, and fight other players and monsters. And as players progress in the journey, they'll find more creatures, plants, stones, and more resources to use and arm themselves with brutal melee weapons or supernatural powers. And before we finish our video, let me mention some extra bonus games. The first one is Tree of Life. Tree of Life is an open world survival game that features co-op gameplay or competition among players that are stuck on a strange island. In Tree of Life, players must gather resources and craft useful tools, build a home, and protect themselves against the harsh nature. Next bonus game is the Swordsman X Survival. This game is a martial art open survival adventure game that combines survival and crafting with a skill-oriented gameplay. The game is like a combination between games like Rust and Ghost of Tsushima, and it's a unique game to try. Third bonus game is Bidcraft. Bidcraft is a sandbox MMORPG that takes place in a single massive customizable sandbox world for all players to interact with and to permanently change. Players awaken as a mystical being in the middle of the wilderness and will need to build shelter to survive. And the final bonus game is Bomb Simulator. Bomb Simulator is a unique urban sandbox survival game where players take control of a homeless man who have to literally survive in the city through stealing money and food. Bomb Simulator is a unique funny game that you can try right now, and it's available on PC. And that's it for today. If you want to support our work, subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate it. And as always, stay home, stay safe, play games, and peace out. And thank you everyone for 45,000 subscribers. Peace out.